So you guys have been asking and have finally answered your request, your major request of this channel. Hey guys, it's your girl Okwe and welcome to the All Shows Nigerian channel where I review Nollywood movies, series and reality TV shows. As you can already tell, there is a difference in the channel. Yes, you guys have asked so many times, like whenever I ask for feedback, you guys always say, we want to see your face, we want to see your face.
And you're finally seeing my face.
You are finally seeing my face. I'm a normal human being behind the camera. It's not just a voice, it's not just an AI tool type of thing. But yeah, this is me. I'm Okwe, like I said, and yeah, I want to see how you guys respond to this new change in the channel. I'm going to try my best to be showing myself more often in my reviews and doing a little bit of making a little bit of change in the channel, which I'm going to get into like right now. All right, so one of the major changes I want to make in the channel, like as of now, is that rather than summarizing the entire storyline of the movie before I give my take and thoughts and whatever, I'm going to like remove that aspect. Like I'm no longer going to be doing that on this channel. Sorry, you guys have to watch the movie and then I would give my thoughts on my channel, like on my videos instead. Like that's just what I'm gonna do and then rate the movie at the end, what I think of it. All right, so comment down below your thoughts, what you guys think of this new change, and yeah, we'll get into the movie. All right, so the movie that I'll be reviewing today is a popular Prime Video movie. I actually have some notes here so I do not forget anything and I touch everything I want to touch. It's a popular Nigerian Prime Video movie titled The House of Secrets. I know it sounds very spooky, and once I saw it I was like, okay, I have to review this because I'm a big horror movie fan. Love horror movies. Horror movie fanatic, that is me. Like, see horror movies, I'm there. But yeah, the movie, like I said, is a Prime Video movie. It is a Ni Akimolayo film and an Ant Hill Studio production. So basically, I'm gonna just give a like paragraph summary of what the movie is about. The movie is about a sheltered woman with a mental disorder whose illness was as a result of her triggering past with her dead husband. Because of this, she is then thrown in jail and left to rot away in a mental institution for being an accomplice to her undercover agent lover. But 20 years later, a group rescued her from the institution in hopes to make her remember the secret in her past that her agent lover had hid with her, which could also provide potentially damning evidence needed to take down a political tyrant running for president. So that is basically the synopsis of the movie. So in this new like way of my reviews, I'm going to be judging the movies based off 6 criteria. The first criteria will be the movie plot, what I think about the movie plot. The second criteria will be the cast performance. The third criteria will be the creativity or originality of the movie. The fourth criteria will be positive things I liked about the movie. Fifth will be the negative things I did not like about the movie. And then I will give my final rating at the end. All right, so that's how it's going to be in this video and in the videos to come in the future. And yeah, let's get into it. Okay, in terms of the movie plot, I personally feel like the movie initially started a bit slow. I guess they were trying to make us like familiarize us with the main character whose name was Sarah. They wanted us to know her, like um just see how she is, like this person that is supposedly suffering from this mental disorder, like how she is reacting to like her supposed niece, her supposed nephew, whatever, and all that. So it was a bit slow. We didn't really get into the movie until like 30 minutes after. But once we got into the movie, yeah, it was top notch. It was top notch. It was very interesting from then on. The pace at which the movie was going from then on was definitely good, and I like that about the movie. Even till the end, it was good. It didn't slow down after that, and I like that. In terms of cast performance, the main characters of the movie were Najite Dede, I hope I'm pronouncing that well, Ife Rele, Sean Fakwa, Emeka Nwaborocha, and some other supporting characters like Etensho, Kepi Ekpeyong, Funlola Aofiebi, I hope I pronounced that well, and Anne Icha. So one thing I liked about the cast performance or whatever was that they didn't make the main characters to be like well-known actors. Yeah, I feel like obviously we know Kate Henshaw, obviously we know Kepi Ekpeyong, like those were actually supporting characters of the movie. Even Femi Jacobs, like we know Femi Jacobs, he was a supporting character of the movie, but the main characters were actually not so well known people like in the industry. Um, so I like that about that, like they're giving spotlight to upcoming actors and actresses, and not even just that, the actors and actresses that the upcoming ones that were actually made the main characters, they actually did a phenomenal job. I feel like each and every one of them nailed their characters to the T. The lady who was the main character, Najite Dede, who played Sarah, nailed her like this thought of what you would expect from someone who has gone through a lot and has a lot of triggers and like has this like mental issue or whatever from her past. Like she nailed her part to the T. Obviously, we know Ife really is like one of the best. She nailed her part to the T. Also, she played young Sarah. She was very convincing in her role. Like took on her character and embodied it perfectly. Sean Farquhar was the young lover of Sarah when she was younger before he died. He also played that role very well of a military slash undercover spy that was trying to take down his boss, who was at that time a military person. So yeah, the movie was definitely nice. I feel like they embodied all those characters perfectly well, and I'll give the producers a thumbs up for that. The characters definitely helped to make the movie even more convincing. The next aspect is the creativity or movie originality. One thing I really loved about this movie is the movie cinematography. I like how they like didn't just make the memories of the lady like just regular memories. They made them like black and white, or like made them have this like vintage look to them, this like warm tone to it, to just give that extra oomph of, okay, this is a memory, like this is something that she's thinking about. It kind of helped differentiate the past from the present. So I definitely like that about it. I also like that they tried their best to also create the setting of the 1999 era of when the military and democracy like transition was happening in Nigeria. I like how the movie also touched on a part of our Nigerian history, and I think they did pretty well in that. I'm not really sure if the black and white also was supposed to signify the black and white like vibe or whatever for the memories was supposed to signify that era of time in Nigeria, because I feel like that if they were trying to do that, that's more so the 1960s. I don't think we're using black and white camera, black and white, whatever in the 1999s, unless I have my history mixed up. But yeah, comment down below if that is right. Like I feel like it's the 1960s that had like that vintage, black and white vibe. But anyways, if they were just trying to make it like fit the storyline of all those were her memories, or like to age the memories a bit, I think they did well. But they were trying to like combine it with like history. I'm not really sure if the time the time that they were trying to set was actually the time of when things like that were happening. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, comment down below what you guys think of that. I also like the arrangement of the past memories. Anybody that was naturally watching would probably have been like, oh, why were her memories like um her past memories that they were showing us, why were they not in order? Because we saw the part of when Panam died before we saw the parts of when the post office burnt. And I want to believe that the post office burnt before Panam died. But I think they purposely did that because at the end of the day, they're trying to portray this woman that has this memory relapse, recessed memories in her brain. And obviously, when she's remembering these memories, it's not going to be in chronological order of how the memories happened in her life. She's going to remember them bit by bit. She may remember some quicker than the others and all that. So I feel like that was also part of like trying to embody like the storyline of what they're trying to like portray. And I think that was portrayed properly. So I like that, even though it may not have been in chronological order of what you would expect. I think they also wanted it to portray her kind of illness. Like, obviously, she's not going to remember these things in chronological order. Um, yeah, so that's all for creativity and movie originality. Overall, I think they did pretty well in the creative aspect. Positives of the movie: I like that the movie touched on a very not so talked about situation or um, illness in Nigeria, like mental illness. I feel like we Nigerians don't really talk about this. Like, yeah, in our culture, is like, oh, you have to deal with everything by yourself. Like, we don't believe in therapists, we don't believe in all those type of things. So I like that the movie touched on that, and not just that, but it touched on a specific type of mental illness, which is the dissociative amnesia, and that's basically a mental disorder that causes memory loss of personal information connected to a very traumatic or stressful situation or point of life in the individual facing it. And in this case, that's Sarah. And the trauma she experienced at the train station and the police station are part of these things that caused this particular mental illness for her, because obviously those were the two major parts of her life that stressed her the most. That was when her husband died, that was when her close confidant almost died. So yeah, those kind of things triggered her to get to have this mental illness. And not just that, they also locked her up in a mental institution. That also didn't help. Even though she was trying, like, getting better at some point in the mental institution, she kind of still relapsed. And I want to believe that is probably because of the kind of drugs they were giving her in the institution, although they didn't get into all those. So I think that is basically why she kind of relapsed and forgot more of her memories. But yeah, I like that the movie touched on mental illnesses and mental disorders, and I definitely feel like it should be a more brought up conversation in Nigeria, because a lot of people go through mental illness, have mental illness. A lot of people have mental disorders, personality disorders, whatever you want to call it. So it's definitely a topic we should talk about more in our society. So I like that they did that. I also love that it touched obviously on the bad governance, like Nigerian governance. Obviously, we have thugs, we have criminals, we have all sorts of people leading the country, and regardless of whatever evidence is brought against them, at the end of the day, they still they still sit in power basically. And I like that this movie passed on a message of hope that, okay, you know what? Yes, our society is corrupt. Yes, our government is corrupt. Yes, this, yes, that. However, at the end of the day, even though it may take 20 years for justice to be served, even though it may take lives, unfortunately, to die to bring justice to the country, at the end of the day, justice still prevailed in this movie. And even those people had to die, even though it took so long for the justice to come, the justice still came basically. And that's something we can't really say even about our government today, because
obviously the person in ruling currently, we already know the person's background. I'm not going to say names, but
yeah, like in that kind of situation, there's pointing evidence to this person about what they've done in the past with like government funds and whatever when they were in power, but yet they still win the election. I just wish that the kind of hope that was portrayed in this movie about our government is actually happening in our government type of thing. But I guess it's one step at a time. Hopefully we get there in our justice system. And yeah, we just have to remain hopeful and pray that in the end justice will prevail. So I like that the movie spread that kind of message about our government. One thing I also liked is the unexpected plot twists in this movie. I feel like there were certain things that happened that, okay, I didn't even expect. Okay, maybe I expected one. But yeah, I like the plot twist of when we find out that Daniel, who was played by Emeka Nwaborocha, the guy that was in Far From Home, I like when his character, we found out that he was actually the long lost son of Sarah and Panam. And I also liked how the house girl in the movie, that one was actually the one that I didn't even expect. The house girl, the woman that played the house girl in the movie, actually was the owner of the NGO that was trying to take down what's his name, General Sani, and also the person that was trying to help Sarah get back her memories, like remember her memories and stuff like that. I didn't really expect that. So that was actually nice, because usually I find Nigerian movies very predictable. So I like that that part was not necessarily predictable. I also like the part where we found out that the train sounds that we're hearing were not actual train sounds, were just like a recording or something that was played in order to make Sarah remember her memories, because obviously the train had something to do with why she lost her memories and why she has so much trauma. So I love those three parts, like the plot twist on those aspects of the movie. I like it, and I like that Nigerian movies are trying not to be predictable these days. So yeah, please, you guys keep it up. We like it. Um, I also liked Panam and Sarah's love story in from her memories. Like, it was very organic. I feel like both characters, Ife Rayleigh and Sean Pakwa, definitely did a phenomenal job. They played those parts so like nicely. It felt very natural. It didn't feel forced at all. They did a phenomenal job in those aspects, and yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that it was organic. The action scenes were also really nice. There was this particular scene between Panam and his former friend. I can't remember his name now, but that fight was actually really nice. Obviously, if I was to compare it to, westernized movies and stuff like that, we haven't still gotten there yet. However, we have made a very, very big, we have made big progress in the Nollywood industry in terms of action movies. Like we know what I'm talking about. We know all those movies of those helicopters that we see on YouTube that are very funny, about how the guy, like the helicopter is looking like all those play helicopters, those toys that we played with in our childhood, but like the people are looking like bigger than the helicopter. You know what I'm talking about? Those funny old Nigerian action movie scenes that we see on YouTube. But I feel like we in Nollywood have come a long way, and it's just really nice to see. It's really nice. So I definitely enjoyed the action scenes. They also felt very organic and didn't feel forced. I could tell that there was a lot of practice that was put into those scenes before they actually executed it. So I like that. We should keep it up. We should have more action scenes actually in our movies. Yeah. The negatives, I won't say that there were really much negatives in this movie. I feel like there were more positives than negatives. I just had to maybe poke a little bit on some things that not necessarily important, but yeah, since we're talking about negatives, I just felt like maybe I should have some negatives. One would be I didn't really understand what side of the fence Mrs. Lawal, who was, like I said, the owner, the house girl at first, who was eventually the owner, who we found out was the owner of the NGO that was trying to take down General Sani. I wasn't really sure who she was, whose side she was on, because apparently we find out in some a part of the movie that General Sani was actually the one funding her NGO, but at the same time we see her working with the other candidate that she wants to win, who is supposed to be the more politically sound person, or whatever, the one that is fit to rule the country. Like I feel like she was straddling the fence. I didn't know whose side she was on, and unfortunately she even died at some point in the movie, so it's still, the mystery still remained of who exactly she was really, whose side exactly she was really on. I wasn't really sure. But yeah, I feel like they could have developed her own character more and, like, made it more clear what side she was on, because it was a bit confusing, because she's like trying to take down this guy, but this guy is the one funding her organization. Yeah. All right. So the next part I would say is the therapist that was played by Femi Jacobs. I don't know if the therapist did a good job in his therapy sessions. I feel like he could have brought more. He could have done better as a therapist. I feel like he was part of the people that were actually trying to pressure her to remember her memories, and I would have just expected that a therapist would be the one trying to tell the people, like, don't pressure her too much. This, it could have side effects and all that. But no, he was part of the people that were actually like, you need to remember, you need to remember, you need to remember. And I'm like, that's not what therapists do. That's not what therapists do. That's not what therapists do. So I didn't really understand that. I feel like they could have developed his therapist role a bit more and made it more convincing that he was a therapist. So that's probably the only thing I have to say about that. My final ratings of this movie. For the movie plot, I gave it a 9 out of 10. For the cast performance, I gave it an 8 out of 10. The cast did a good job, except for, of course, the therapist and the Mrs. Lawal role. I didn't really know what they were doing there. I didn't really get it. But in terms of creativity and originality of the movie, I gave it an 8. for my positives, I gave it an 8. For the negatives, I minus 2 from the grade, and then the final rating ended up being an 8 out of 10. So I definitely give this movie an 8 out of 10. I feel like it's one of the best movies I have watched this year, best Nollywood movies I've watched this year, and I'm looking forward to more movies like this. All right, guys, we've come to the end of this review. Tell me what you guys think about this new setup. I was very nervous to come on the camera today and show myself, because anyone that knows me personally knows I am a very shy person. I may not look it, but I am very shy. So I would really appreciate if you guys support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any more feedback that you want me to work on, please leave a comment below and I will definitely respond. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.